Your recording is
Yeah, she was talking about 11 or 10.
sorry. Voting?
What cameras are still up and operational in Apple?
Oh, okay.
We're going to be getting started in a few minutes. I just see some new faces, so I just want to make sure everybody knows that if you're interested in speaking in public comment, we have sign-up forms out there, and just fill them out and hand them to me.
We got
Yeah, and then, yeah.
And then we gotta do more.
Well, we're just going to try. I know. They're probably virtual, but just because you should just in general.
Yeah.
So it's real live.
They don't necessarily. Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna take care of that. Okay. All right, we're gonna get going here. This is the May 21st, 2026 regular meeting of the Fire and Police Commission. Present are Commissioners Burgos, Evans, Snyder, Spence, Worrell Patterson, and myself, Commissioner Spencer. Commissioners Horowitz, Ramey, and Fung are excused. In Chair Horowitz's absence, I'll be turning today's meeting to the Vice Chair. Also present are FBC Executive Director Leon Todd and Deputy Director Jay Cusick. Before we start with the agenda, I want to be clear, we have item 9 is gonna get moved up. This is very atypical, but we're moving it quickly before public comment because if there's any edits to this document, it needs to happen like tonight before a certain time. So we're gonna do that really quickly, and then we'll proceed with public comment. So that's, item number 9.
Okay, so this is, as the chair mentioned, item 9, which is under examinations. It's file number FPC 212534, resolution relating to the approval of the police sergeant job announcement bulletin within the Milwaukee Police Department. I do want to draw the commissioner's attention to a few updated items with this document, updated from with respect to the last round of testing for the sergeant position, which was about 2 years ago. So typically, what we have done since at least 2019 is require a continuous service period of 7 years in order to test for the sergeant position, to meet the minimum requirements. We had a discussion at the Testing and Recruiting Committee earlier this month, where it was recommended to, by FPC staff, to reduce the 7-year time period to 6 years. My understanding was that the consensus of all the Testing and Recruiting Committee members was favorable to that, and the department is in agreement with that. In addition, there was also, my understanding was that it was a unanimous consensus among the committee members to add another provision saying that if for members that had at least 2 years of detective experience, they would be eligible to take the sergeant's exam, provided they have a minimum of a total of 5 years of experience as either an officer or a detective or some combination of that. So this job posting reflects those changes. Again, for all members, minimum service requirement of 6 years, and then for members with at least 2 years of detective experience, minimum continuous service, total requirement of 5 years. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, do any of the commissioners have any comments or questions regarding this item? Okay. All right, I will take a voice vote on this item, if there's a motion.
So, second.
All right, great. Any discussion? Okay, so I'll take a voice vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Any opposed? I think that was all of us. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Director, let's go back to public comment.
Great, excellent. So item 1 is public comment. For those who would like to speak and are here in person, please come up and sit at the front table when your name is called. If you are appearing virtually and have registered in advance to speak, please use the raise my hand feature in the webinar tools and unmute yourself when called upon to speak. Each person will be given up to 5 minutes to speak, and we will begin as usual with the individuals who are here in person. The first person I have is Omar Arena. Good evening, yes.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. On behalf of Voces de la Frontera and our community members, we proudly support this resolution to protect Milwaukee residents from aggressive ICE tactics. Every family deserves to feel safe in their neighborhoods, schools, workplaces, and places of worship without fear of intimidation. This resolution is a proactive response to the well-documented abuse and constitutional violations on the part of CBP and ICE that have been terrorizing community residents, profiling, physically assaulting, and even killing immigrants and U.S. citizens in their search operations. We know these politics and the funding of these cruel, senseless, and expensive operations will only continue. We applaud this forward-looking legislation that will provide necessary clarity to local government and law enforcement officials to uphold the U.S. and state constitution and prioritizes public safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Tiffany Stark.
Sorry, I thought I was. family meeting. Yeah, check-in. So once again, I thank you guys for doing all the work you've done. I just am not in a good place with this. I feel helpless and hopeless waiting on the alders. Like I've said, I beat the drum to death with my concerns with the communication. With the alders, you know, not being present here to hear all the work we've done the last 8 months, with hearing the reports of NYU, and then we need to depend on them to make this big decision within not knowing half the stuff that's been done. Yesterday I appeared on Channel 12 and we did an interview and it was a good story. It gave a lot of detail of the process and the steps and what happened, but a lot of the comments about the big pressure point right now were edited and cut out. I had spoke directly in that interview about the elders and the communication and my concerns. And nothing. I called last Wednesday, I talked to staffers, never got any return phone calls. I've heard other people called and they've been not so nice to some people and then sending a lot of people to directly to voicemail. So, I mean, and then this morning, the use of force thing, that after you guys unanimously all voted for that motion, was rejected. So I don't have a very good feeling about this. And I know you guys have done everything you can, but once again, moving forward and any other issues, these elders work for the constituents of the city of Milwaukee, and they need to start answering their phone and start taking public comment, not coming to the FPC to voice their concerns. There's other stuff going on, and there's no public comment, no platform for anyone to speak. They're making decisions without any public input, and we have good ideas and solutions, and we want to be part of the process. And this is just pissing me off, I'm sorry. Because I feel like we've gone through so much in 8 months, and this is just gonna blow up because of Act 12. And my goal is to get these Republicans in the state the hell out, and we can get some people in, and we can sue or repeal or get rid of Act 12 so we can have some power again, because the people spoke. We have over 300 signatures in the community about these vehicle police pursuits, and no one's listening. And I will not, until I die, I will be running my mouth, because I'm not gonna stop fighting. Too many people are dying over stupid things, and people should be able to come home and be safe driving down the damn street. So that's all I have to say. I'm sorry if I'm taking this out on you, because it's not you. I wish these alders were sitting right in front of me so I could be saying the things I'm saying right now. But they hide in silos and in silence, and they can run, but one day they're gonna have to face people. Thank you.
Representative Ryan Clancy.
Good evening. Thank you, commissioners. And to Tiffany's comment, Act 12 is trash. Hopefully we can repeal that early next year. I want to start by saying thank you to you folks for considering this here tonight. Very grateful to the authors of this piece of legislation. Yet it is beyond ridiculous that we have to have a piece of legislation that begs law enforcement to enforce the law, and that is what this is. It is unfortunately very necessary. It was just a few months ago when I sat with other state lawmakers and state legislators from around the Milwaukee area, and we asked our police chief, Chief Norman, the same question in different ways over and over again. And the question was really simple. It was, if ICE comes here in full force and violates the law, will you hold them accountable? Will you enforce state and local law if ICE violates it? And we got every single answer from Police Chief Norman other than yes. We got, no, our hands are tied, there's nothing we can do. We got, we're gonna take this on a case-by-case basis. And then we went through the cases that we asked him to respond to. What if a 6-year-old is abducted and taken away from their family without a judicial signed warrant? What if Milwaukee residents are tear gassed or pepper sprayed on the streets? What if they're gunned down in the streets? And the response by Chief Norman was, we're not going to talk hypotheticals. And these aren't hypotheticals. We are seeing these things play out in major cities across the United States. And we are still seeing them, despite the lack of media on some of them in some markets. And it was among the most frustrating conversations that I've ever had. One of the other replies to, will you enforce the law as law enforcement, was, we are afraid of blue on blue violence. And he used that phrase 3 times the last time he was asked. So in case anybody here is under the impression that the Milwaukee Police Department is concerned about serving or protecting our residents, that is not their primary concern. They consider ICE agents their colleagues, and their primary concern is to not have conflict with them. It is shameful and it is embarrassing that this piece of legislation is necessary, but it is, and I thank you for considering it. Sub C seems a very reasonable amendment to this, and I hope it passes tonight. Thank you.
Ann Ritchie.
Good evening. I'm very happy to be here to speak in favor of changing the SOP of the MPD to, it sounds like what is being asked is that it's the same expectation if, you know, if these are officers within MPD. They're trying, this change is to make it so that the same standards are applied, even if it's an officer from another agency, like a federal agency, like that. I think that's just so important for us to be prepared. We were all so horrified when we saw on TV night after night the awful things happening in Minneapolis. So I think it's super important that we put things in place so that we are prepared to take action if something like that happens here. I also just want to point out that I like of the versions that have been put out. I like the proposed substitute B the best because it does talk about the duty to investigate, and it seems like that part has been taken out in some of the versions, and I'm not really understanding why it's put out. It seems like we want to have investigations. This Chicago Tribune article from February 20th does talk about
That's because the
Chicago,
investigation part
Illinois.
leaves it up to
The Attorney
interpretation.
General is there, does talk about,
At the moment,
first of all, that
interpretation. That's the problem.
they're changing their procedures there too, so that federal officers could be charged with a crime. Also, they're talking about investigations being done by law enforcement. So it seems like whatever we do, we should include that too. So, thank you.
Bruce Wiggins.
My name is Bruce Wiggins, 728 East Pleasant Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I want to support and underline the testimony of the previous speakers, Representative Clancy and Richards, and the speaker from Voces de la Frontera. Those are all good, important points that I want to really emphasize. And am I allowed to ask a question at this point about the applicability of this, or are you taking only testimony now?
It's primarily testimony, but if there's a simple procedural question, I can do my best to answer.
Okay. I'm really worried about the fall elections and some trumped up charges bringing ICE to Milwaukee and trying to steal the vote or depress the vote. Is there anything in this that would protect our voting rights?
This is not designed to do that.
Okay. Let's see if we can figure out something else then to protect our voting rights. I'm not sure what it would be, but I'm really worried about that. But apart from that, I'm here to support the previous speakers. Thank you.
Amy Donahue?
Thank you. I just wanted to quickly also add my support for an SOP that will protect us in Milwaukee from ICE income. And yeah, thank you for hearing us all, for everyone who came to this room to provide testimony.
Jim Carpenter?
Good evening, my name is Jim Carpenter, I'm co-chair of Peace Action. I live at 1633 North Prospect, Milwaukee 53202. First, I want to thank our state government for taking a moral stand against ICE, for taking a principled stand against ICE. They truly have a working moral compass, and I'm asking this body also to engage your moral compass and take a stand against ICE. The Trump administration is a criminal administration. It's conducting illegal, immoral war in Iran, but not only is it conducting illegal actions against foreigners, it's conducting illegal, immoral actions against people in this country, namely black and brown immigrants, the poor, and the people who stand up for these people. And so, as we know, ICE has gone into Minnesota and they committed crimes. They murdered people. They came into Milwaukee and they committed a crime. They kidnapped Salah Sassour, and he's still in prison. And this person was not committing any crimes, was here legally. He was basically kidnapped. This is a federal crime, kidnapping. So we're asking this body to support the Common Council in standing up against ICE and protecting us. I have a little sign here, MPD, protect us all. Please honor that request. That's basically what I'm here for. I just want to point out that it's not just, of course, the Trump administration that's criminal, and the fact that he has a criminal gang, namely ICE, that comes in to terrorize our community, and this has to be stopped. The Biden administration, too, also broke crimes, and we should not play favorites here. The Biden administration supported Israel's genocide against Gaza, and the fact that Salah Sassour spoke up against that, I believe, is one of the primary reasons that he was abducted. And so please, find your moral compass. I know you have one. Join our city government in keeping us safe from ISIS crimes. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here in person who would like to speak during public comment? Ma'am, would you like to make a public comment? Okay. And Bridget, do we have anyone appearing virtually for public comment?
We do, Director. Julie is on the line for you.
Good evening.
Thanks, Bridget, Director. Good evening, Commissioners, neighbors. It's Chaplain Julie Kershio, Milwaukee County resident. Thanks to Director Todd for the invitation to contact him directly with questions and requests. I spoke with him after the last FPC Commission meeting and appreciate him taking the time to talk with me. He said he would relay my concerns to the chair, including my request to have police training concerns added to an upcoming FPC agenda. So I'm providing more information in the hopes that the chair decides to do that soon. In the interest of oversight and transparency, it would be helpful to know, does the MPD have a system for tracking employees who train with foreign law enforcement agencies? If so, what is it? If not, why not? Are MPD employees who attend any training sessions, seminars, and conferences required to document what they learned and who they met with? If so, can the public review this information? If not, why not? Do the employees who attend trainings have to explain how and why these trainings benefit the community? If so, can the public review this information? If not, why not? For example, has the MPD adopted any tactics, altered any policies, or developed any internal training programs based on these trips abroad or any other trainings attended? And is this information verifiable? Can the FPC enhance the requirements of training? For instance, require permission from the FPC prior to enrolling in training events so that there is some external oversight of what they're being trained in. Without proper record keeping, as mentioned, how can the MPD or the FPC evaluate any key takeaways, practical applications, potential benefits or harms? Here's an example. Wouldn't it be helpful to know what kind of training MPD staff receives regarding interviewing sexual assault survivors? Wouldn't it be helpful to insist they receive training from vetted, compassionate, respectful, appropriate trainers, especially given this month's formal complaint all over the Milwaukee news? If these records are kept, how long are they kept for? In other words, what are the data retention guidelines for the MPD? How can safeguards be built in to ensure transparency regarding how trainings are funded? I don't think that donations to cover travel have to be disclosed under state and federal law, but the potential risks and perception of conflict of interest associated with such funding outweighs the benefits of maintaining anonymity of funding sources and would go a long way in building community trust. At a minimum, some other police departments in the US require documentation and tracking of the location, the category, and the topics covered at each training event. Ideally, participants should be required to complete an evaluation report detailing what lessons they learned and practical applications for department operations and their perceived benefits to our community. Chief Norman proudly went to the internationally condemned, genocidal, racist, apartheid Zionist regime that is currently occupying Palestine. They named themselves Israel, and they are an internationally condemned chronic violator of human rights. Chief Norman went to them for training. What did he learn? What did he bring back home to inflict on the citizens of Milwaukee? How can the FPC hold the MPD accountable regarding training? Free Milwaukee from FRT, free Milwaukee from FLOC, free Milwaukee from all fascist surveillance, free Milwaukee from reckless and lethal police chases, free Milwaukee from dangerous, unaccountable rogue policing, free Milwaukee from a police department with institutional impunity, free Milwaukee from dehumanizing, disrespectful interviewing techniques, free Milwaukee, free Palestine. It's all connected. Thank you. Have a good evening.
I do appreciate that. I know you will follow up, and I will do so.
Oh, thank you.
Is there anyone else appearing virtually for public comment?
There's not, Director.
Okay, there being no further comments, this concludes the public comment portion of the meeting. Director, please proceed.
I'll now read items on the consent agenda. After I do so, any commissioner may remove any item from the regular agenda for discussion or appropriate action. Items not removed may be adopted by general consent without debate. Item 2, FPC 212526, resolution relating to the May 7th, 2026 meeting minutes. Item 3, FPC 212528, resolution relating to the appointments to the help desk specialist 2 position within the Milwaukee Police Department, 2 appointments. Item 4, FPC 212529, resolution relating to the appointment to the police services specialist investigator position within the Milwaukee Police Department. Item 5, FPC 212530, resolution relating to the appointment to the office assistant 3 position within the Milwaukee Police Department. Item 6, FPC 212531, resolution relating to the electronic technician 1 eligible list for the Milwaukee Police Department. Item 7, FPC 212532, resolution relating to the electronic technician 2 eligible list for the Milwaukee Police Department. And item number 8, FPC 212533, resolution relating to the electronic technician 3 eligible list for the Milwaukee Police Department. This concludes the consent agenda.
Would any of the commissioners like to remove any of these items from the consent agenda to the regular agenda? If there are no objections, the items on the consent agenda will be adopted by general consent. Are there any objections? All right, hearing none, these items are adopted. Director, please proceed.
We have previously addressed item number 9, so we will move the item under old business, which is item 10, FPC 212453, resolution relating to Common Council file number 251799, a substitute motion modifying the Milwaukee Police Department standard operating procedures regarding the duty to intervene, investigate, and report unreasonable uses of force. The commission previously heard this item for the first time a few meetings ago. Thereafter, it was held to the call of the chair to allow further consideration of the item. After that, the chair did request to receive guidance from the city attorney's office. The city attorney's office has now provided that their recommendations, and I want to clarify for members of the public, the actual common council, or the file that's before the common council includes the original motion as well as a proposed substitute A and B, which have been offered by the sponsor, Alderman Brower. So proposed substitute B is the most current version of the resolution within the common council's file. What's titled as proposed substitute C is a recommendation from the city attorney's office, although that is not currently before the common council as it hasn't been offered by an alderperson. With that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Sounds good. Do any of the commissioners have any comments or questions regarding this item at this time? And I'm going to ask you again in a little bit, so I want to make sure everyone has the opportunity to weigh in. I'm not seeing any right now. I saw someone just came up, but I can't tell who it is. Oh, Commissioner Spence, do you have something?
I don't at this moment.
Okay. Okay, so I also have some thoughts that I want to wait to hear from some other folks first. So Alderman Brower, do you wish to speak on this item?
I do.
Please.
Members of the FPC, thank you so much for allowing me to have join this comment here, and thank you so much for allowing public comment from the members of the public. I really appreciate this body engaging with the public as often as it does. Thank you guys. It takes a lot to be able to say something. It takes even more strength to listen. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. What we have before us is substitute B, which was a substitute that was a compromise, and then upon further look by the city attorney's office, they've suggested substitute C, which I intend to fill in the file. And so I believe this, I would like to ask this body if there's some way procedurally it can recommend this for adoption to the Milwaukee County Council. Basically, this does modify some things in some ways significantly. It removes the duty to investigate, but it's still really important that we investigate enforcement. And what I intend to do is work with the city attorney's office to potentially introduce a further modification to it, potentially a different SOP to accomplish the same goals of investigation. And I believe the city attorney office is committed to working with our office in that. So I'm committed to do that, and we, more importantly here, we need to do what we can right now, and I would urge this body to, I know substitute C isn't in the file, but if there's a way we can recommend it for adoption, I would encourage you to do that, because what we need to do is work our hardest and do every single thing that we can to protect the residents of Milwaukee. And while I have a lot of disagreements about the way policing is conducted, I do know that there's a lot of police officers that have that same value. And so we're calling on them in this SOP modification to do what they were sworn to do, which is protect the people of Milwaukee, even if that's from a federal law enforcement officer. Really do demand that. And so I urge you to adopt this. This has quite a bit of weight here to require our city's officers to take action when ICE is doing something illegal or violating our residents. They're gonna report their observations, they'll intervene if they could reasonably can do so. These are things that we should, part of me thinks we shouldn't have to write this down, but I think, given that we have everything in SOPs, we should put this in there too, that this is a minimum expectation that we have of our police, that even if it's a federal law enforcement officer, that they need to do the right thing and do what they're sworn to do, which is protect Milwaukee. And so I urge you to use any means necessary tonight to recommend this so that we can take this up at the Public Health and Safety, or Public Safety and Health, Committee, and then it can be adopted by the full Common Council, unless the police do what they've done, and the police department does what they do in the past, which is, adopt this themselves. They're open to do that as well. I would encourage the police chief to come out and, willingly modify the SOP, but in the event that they do not do that, I would ask that this body, or even before they do that, I would ask that this body recommend this to the council so we can begin our deliberations on this as soon as possible, because we do not know when ICE will begin a major operation in Milwaukee, and given the fact that they've received even further funding, given the fact that the new head of the Department of Homeland Security has said that they are going to double down on their efforts with ICE, we need to be ready. And let's hope it never happens, but we've got to be prepared. This is one step. Another step, and I believe the strongest step in our preparations to deal with immigration and customs enforcement here in Milwaukee. And like Jim Carpenter said, and I really appreciate that he brought this up, they're already acting with impunity here in Milwaukee. The abduction of Celeste Arsour is completely unacceptable. There's other people there are people that aren't as high profile as Celeste that have been abducted by ICE already in Milwaukee unjustly. Those people deserve justice as well. I mean, ICE, and frankly, the Common Council believes, and the mayor signed this resolution as well. We believe that ICE should be abolished. Right, but we cannot do that by ordinance here in Milwaukee. So until that time comes, we need to do everything we can to prepare. And so I really appreciate you hearing me on this, and I hope that you do everything that you can tonight to further this piece, because Public Safety and Health wants your guys' opinion before they take action on this file. And so I urge you to take action this evening if you can. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. So does a member of the Milwaukee Police Department wish to make any comments regarding this item?
Yes. Heather Huffstock, Chief of Staff. I am first going to apologize for being in my car. My son has a Memorial Day ceremony thing for a group he's in that starts at 6:30. And this is a very important topic. I wanted to be there in person. Unfortunately, I had a conflicting personal conflict. So this is serious. The department takes it serious, and the department wholeheartedly agrees with the community that no one should cause harm to our residents, and that includes law enforcement. So I want to make that crystal clear to everybody in this conversation that we are in agreement that no one should cause our residents harm. That being said, policing is complex. We are not here to object. We are here to listen to this body deliberate and come to a decision on this file, but I want to point out that when we use force, we have policies, guidelines that dictate how and when we can use force. A great example is the chokehold. The Fire and Police Commission banned the Milwaukee Police's use of chokeholds for residents of the city of Milwaukee in using force. That being said, it is a legal use of force in the state of Wisconsin and surrounding jurisdictions. And I say that as an example because when you are asking broadly for our officers to have a duty to intervene when they observe what they think is unreasonable force, they only know the policies that guide them, their rules of engagement. They do not know the rules of engagement of other agencies, including federal authorities. And with that being said, as a protection for our officers, we are concerned that they may intervene in situations where it is a legally acceptable use of force in other jurisdictions, but not ours. And then it's an escalation of two law enforcement agencies going at it in those moments. When the chief talked about blue on blue, we are concerned not about anyone else but the safety of our officers. And so our policies guide our officers, our policies protect our officers. We are not of a place where we are objecting to the sentiment.
Not your own.
Policing is complex, and these are considerations we just want to put on the record as you make these deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Staffhoff. Do any of the commissioners have any additional questions or comments at this time? I'm going to start over with you, checking with you, Burgos.
No, I just want, we talking with the city attorney, we did review that the investigative part was removed, but there are other aspects and other SOPs that cover that, and I think that we're going to point that out a little bit in the discussion. So it's part of the total picture of the police department, how they do things. So, do we intervene is a very important issue here we deal with, and we take it very seriously. So I'm leaning toward what the city attorney says, and I comment.
Commissioner Snyder? Okay, let's go through here virtually. Commissioner Evans?
No comment.
Commissioner Spence?
Yeah, I agree that this is a weighty argument. I do have, excuse me, some concerns as the chief of staff explained their concerns relative to trying to weigh between what we do in Milwaukee and what others are allowed to do. I happen to think that if we put something in our SOPs, there's this opportunity to have discussions with other groups that come into Milwaukee relative to what is acceptable here. And so that has weight for me. Not that folks have to follow our policies, but by the fact that we've got a policy that needs to be explored by others who come into our community, I think it creates opportunity for pause. And so I'm listening for that that opportunity to put something in writing that causes other agencies to pause as they think about how they should comport themselves in the city of Milwaukee.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Will-Patterson?
Yes, interestingly, that is what stood out for me as well, that if we have a policy and another jurisdiction comes in that may not have the same policy, shouldn't Milwaukee, where you're coming as a guest, be the guiding principle? That would be the clarity from the chief of staff. I would think that Milwaukee should be the guiding principle for anyone that comes here. Their policies or guiding principles should not overrule what we have in place.
Unfortunately, in policing matters, it is the policies of the jurisdiction of the law enforcement officer. So if the federal government comes to Milwaukee, their policy is the federal government policy for that agency. Our policies only apply to Milwaukee police officers.
Is there a way that that can be changed?
Madam
Chief
Chair,
of
if I
Staff.
can answer this.
Well, she was asking, I want to be clear, she was asking Chief to step up. Right, Commissioner Wilkinson?
Correct, or the director, whoever, is there a way that that can be changed?
So, not easily would be my initial answer. So, certainly with respect to what the chief is able to do, he can promulgate policies for department members, but the chief doesn't have the authority to promulgate rules that govern law enforcement officers whenever they come into the city of Milwaukee, be it sheriff, federal law enforcement officers, or other local law enforcement officers from other jurisdictions. He simply doesn't have that authority. There are some circumstances, I think, and I want to be very cautious here. I know that the Milwaukee Common Council did pass an ordinance that had some provisions requiring the removal of facial coverings and masks for law enforcement officers in general in this city. So if there was going to be any such requirements or changes, I think it would have to come from the Milwaukee Common Council rather than the FPC or the police department. And even with respect to the Common Council, they have to be, there's rules that they would have to be very careful about and seek guidance from the city attorney's office, because it could potentially overstep in telling federal officers what they can and cannot do.
Okay, are you saying that federal officers have more authority than our officers?
So generally speaking, they are governed by federal law, which is supreme to state or local law. That said, they are still required to follow state. They cannot violate state criminal law absent some exceptions that relate to the essential requirements of their duties. It's complicated, and I apologize I don't have a clearer answer.
It is complicated, but in practicality, would we allow anyone to come into our home and do whatever they want? So saying that we have a representative from the Common Council, maybe that's something that they would be willing to lift and research and maybe even move us forward, because it doesn't seem to make a lot of, I'm not a police officer, we're not of the law enforcement, but it doesn't seem practical that we would allow someone to come into our home and do whatever they want.
Especially murdering citizens.
I would like to make one thing really clear, which is that the state of Wisconsin statute already requires that the Milwaukee Police Department intervene on another officer, even if they're within the state, like if they're another state officer. So I think that, and I'm not trying to minimize, this is a complex issue. That's real. The overlapping authorities between different levels of government and a federalized system, that's real. I guess I want to say that after 4 years of being a Milwaukee Fire Police Commissioner, I'm not overly worried about threats of how things can't work. When we did pass the 575 policy for body worn camera, which is one of the things I'm most proud of during my time on the commission, being part of that movement. We received a letter from the State Sheriff's Association, signed by, I think, every sheriff in the state, saying that if we did 575, no sheriff department in the state of Wisconsin would render aid in the city of Milwaukee. And it was complete nonsense. So I think it's really important to hold that. That is the kind of sort of saber rattling that can happen. And it's important to not let fear win the day, I guess. I also want to be, I really like what both Commissioner Spence and Commissioner Will Patterson were saying. You know, for citizens, not knowing the law is insufficient of an excuse. Right? You can't just say, like, well, I didn't know that was illegal. That doesn't matter. And so I do think there needs to be more conversation, and I'm looking at you, Alderman Brower, on this issue of trying to be more clear on policy of what's expected in the city of Milwaukee. I also want to be really careful not to participate in what I would call a race to the bottom, where like we let the least restrictive policies in the universe of policing stop us from doing what we think is right in the city of Milwaukee. So I want to make sort of a process point clear. The investigations, when I first read the first draft A, I was really confused because it didn't really read like police SOP. And so the inclusion of investigations, for example, was very confusing to me because I get the sentiment, but this SOP is not where that should live. That's really confusing. And the officer who witnesses, whatever it is, anytime there's a duty to intervene, the officer that intervenes, the officer that witnesses the excessive use of power, use of force, they're never the ones that are going to be investigating because they're directly involved by having intervened. So I'm okay with sub C, and we are able to adopt that tonight if that's what people want to do. So I want to just be clear on that investigation point. Like, there already exists investigatory rules in the department that govern personnel, stuff internally, that govern crime scene investigations, that govern, what was the other one? Crime scene?
Critical incidents and.
Officer-involved deaths or critical incidents. And so that's, I think, a much more appropriate place. I don't know that it actually needs adjustment to go with this adoption, if that's what we do, but it's worth looking into. I'm glad you're going to be talking to the city attorney's office about it. I also want to be really clear on the limits of a policy like this and what it can do. I think it's, for me, I'm going to speak for myself, like I think the inclusion of the specification that other officer means includes federal officers is doing most of the work in this policy adjustment modification. But I also want to be clear about the limits in America of thinking that the police are the ones that are going to save you from the police, or the feds, right, like at different levels. Like that also is what it is. So I think this helps. I think it's part of the whole package of things that the city is doing. And I just, whenever we pass or think about policy, I always like to try to be very, as candid as I can be with the public about what I think can happen and what the constraints might be. Okay, that's what I have to say on the matter. So now let's move to, is there any additional questions or comments from other commissioners?
I'd like my comment not to get lost. You know, I agree. So is there a way that we can continue the discussion around the Common Council lifting this concern around law enforcement coming into our city, not having the power to overrule what we have done months and hours of work on to protect the citizens of Milwaukee? I don't want that to get lost. So I don't know what happens for me to continue in circulation.
Well, there is at least one member of the Common Council that's here and listening to your statements, Commissioner Will Patterson. I can certainly pass those on to other members of the Common Council, particularly the members of the Public Safety and Health Committee for their consideration.
Can we have a follow-up, please?
Yeah, you mean put it on the agenda for a future meeting?
Correct. Well, once they've looked at it and what becomes of it, yes. Like within a couple of months, few months.
Yes. I'm just the vice chair, but I'm gonna say yes because the chair of if you ask the chair to put something on the agenda, typically she will, and I think is very responsive to that. So yes, I think it is the answer.
Wonderful, thank you.
Sorry, sure, if you have something you want to say briefly.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, members of the committee, thank you so much, Alderman Brower. I just want to commit that, we can, I hear you, I think the question, being what can we do to control what federal law enforcement is doing in Milwaukee, that we just need to talk with the city attorney's office. There's issues of the supremacy clause that are in play here, but I'm fully committed, and I know other people on the county council are fully committed to that particular question that you're asking, and so I can commit right now to following up and exploring all those options with the city attorney and continuing the conversation with this commission.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's proceed. Is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move we recommend substitute C.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, I'll take a roll call vote in alphabetical order. Commissioner Burgos.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Snyder.
Aye.
Commissioner Spence.
Aye.
Commissioner Will Patterson.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The motion carries. Director, please. All right, I'll now read, Director, please, will you read the items under new business?
Yes. Starting with item 11, FPC 212536, communication relating to low acuity calls for service from the police and fire department, and whether such calls should be serviced by alternative non-sworn responders.
Ooh, and just for folks before you leave, if you're interested in ways that you can provide service through unarmed services and first response, this is a good session to listen to. If you're interested, just letting you know that's what this is about to be about.
And we will have, there is a report in the file from Dr. E. Watson of Wayne State University, who did a review of this some time ago, and unfortunately she wasn't able to be with us here this evening, but we have the capable Assistant Chief Josh Parrish from the Milwaukee Fire Department, who's going to provide an overview as well as an update on some of these initiatives that he's already been working on implementing.
We keep speaking a joke that your slideshow is 75 slides long.
It is not.
Is that true?
It's
Is it-
20,
Okay, 20 now.
not including the info slides.
Okay, so let's go 21. We'll call that 21.